Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the future of the water and wastewater industry and the careers you didn't know about. I'm your host, Dave Kosminski, and we are live on location at the Connecticut Section AWWA Annual Technical Conference and Vendor Expo, a.k.a. AtCave. And with us in the house right now, Mr. Steve Rupar of WSP. Hi, Steve. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Dave. Good to see you again.
Hey, it's good to be seen. Fantastic. So thanks for coming up. I appreciate it. So tell me about your day job, man.
Wow.
I mean, first of all, how did you get into the water industry?
So I graduated in 1987, and I went to college. I went to UConn.
Okay.
My background, concentration in studies was I'm a civil engineer,
Okay.
but I focused on structures.
Okay.
But when I got out of school, I went to work for a company, Rolled Haystad Incorporated.
Ah, yes.
Who were very much, we did some structural stuff, but very much our bread and butter was water and wastewater.
Yeah, but they did a lot of GIS too, Ralph, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Yes. So we did a lot of dam work. You know, we did some general civil, sidewalks, parks, that kind of stuff, but overwhelmingly our work was water and
Bread and
wastewater.
butter. Sure.
And I really realized I was a water engineer when I came to take the PE test. After 4 years of working with Mr. Haystad. You know, I went in thinking I would be taking some of the structural problems. And I flipped through the test, and you know, it was all weird shapes and composite materials, and
Different
I said,
animal.
Nope, I guess I'm a water engineer.
Yes, exactly. So did you, you know, rolling back the calendar just a few, did you have, you know, as far as for career paths, did you have a pre-designed career path, or how did?
No, not at all. You know, civil engineering. When I went into engineering. Frankly, I picked out of all the engineering, it was the only one that was kind of interesting.
Okay, all right.
You know, working with dirt and construction materials and equipment, you know, kind of appealed to me. As a kid, I had built dams in local streams.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it did appeal to me, but definitely did not have a career path in mind, and you know, had never seen plans or specifications, or really knew a lot about how things were actually built when I went into it. So, no, very much something that grows on you as you get exposed to it.
Right. So, out of high school, where did you go to college? UConn?
University of Connecticut.
You know, okay. Were you on a Storrs campus?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There we go. There you go. Now, you know, winding your way through your career, okay? I mean, you've been with, you were with Regional Water there for how many years? With
19 years.
19 years.
Regional. So, I was at Haystad for 7, then took a job with the Regional Water Authority in 1994.
Okay.
Left there in 2013 to go back to consulting. I was with Tata and Howard for 6 years.
Yeah, okay.
And now WSP it's been 5 years.
Okay. Just time flies when you're having fun.
Yes.
You know, just going from there. So, you know, primarily, you know, the whole premise of the podcast is trying to attract kids, you know, younger students into the water industry. You know, I've been telling everybody, you know, the average age of the operator in Connecticut now is 53 years old. Okay, so we got to start literally refilling the pipeline. You know, and you know, my whole, you know, pitch from the standpoint of the careers in the water industry and wastewater industry, the umbrella is so large. You know, going from construction to, you know, accounting to engineering to operators to, you know, whatever. You know, the possibilities are limitless. You know, and I think from an engineering standpoint, and one of the things that I stress too, not every student, high school student, is meant to go to college either. You know, we need boots on the ground. We need, you know, we need laborers, we need pipe installers, we need truck drivers, we need whatever. But you know, from an engineering aspect, I mean, that's something. You know, it's a integral part of the industry. You know, to make it all make everything work as far as that goes. So in your role at a regional, what primarily was your role? Just
well, I started. You know, I had different roles. 19 years, you kind of move up the chain.
Yeah.
We had a very small engineering group. I believe there were 6 of us when I started.
Okay.
And I was brought in as what we called a project engineer.
Yep.
And our real job was to manage capital projects, those projects funded by the capital budget.
Uh-huh.
And that meant at regional, there was a variety of projects. There were small and large projects.
Okay.
And so the smaller stuff we tended to try to design and do in-house.
Okay.
And the larger stuff we would generally use consultants.
Okay.
But there was an ongoing, so there was, just from conception to implementation, we guided the project through all phases, through, planning, design, bidding, and then ultimately construction, commissioning, startup testing, all phases. And it, very gratifying to kind of grow.
Sure.
With 19 years with the system and seeing the changes.
Right.
And seeing something that you got to work on in year 1, get built in year 10 and actually be making a positive difference in the system.
Sure.
In year 15 is just, very gratifying. Well, and fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, regional, how many customers are regional?
Roughly customers at the time, 115, 120,000.
Okay, you got to be more than that now.
Yes, yep, because we purchased some utilities and just through natural growth. Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be up to 150,000, but that'd be a guess.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Unbelievable. So, going and now your role with WSP. Now, obviously, you're in the consulting thing again. And what is their forte as far as that?
So, kind of, I wear 2 hats. I'm the national drinking water practice lead for WSP.
Okay.
So I wear a national hat, and that involves us, directing strategy, drinking water strategy for the company. Mm-hmm. Making sure we're aligned with what's going on in the industry, so we have the right resources, we're hiring the right people, and we're pursuing the right things. Mm-hmm. I also wear, locally, I'm still very much involved in design of projects, management of projects through all phases.
Sure.
And we do a lot of work. I'm in Shelton, Connecticut. We do a lot of work both in Connecticut and in New York State.
Okay.
Involved right now, there's a lot of PFAS work in New York.
Oh my gosh, yes.
The small systems there. New York has its own PFAS regulation.
Okay.
So many of the small systems are tripping that threshold and having to put in treatment systems to deal with it.
Now, is the New York threshold aligned with EPA's threshold? No.
So at New York, a lot of states were not sure when EPA was going to come out with their own regulation, and they went ahead and issued their own. So New York is 10 parts per trillion for 2 compounds.
Oh, okay. All right.
And EPA's proposed reg is 6 compounds and much lower thresholds.
Oh, right. Now, well, the other thing a lot of things that drives the water industry obviously is regulations, and PFAS and lead and copper, that was a big contributing factor in the last 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
As far as that goes. So, has lead and copper kind of taken a back seat now to PFAS, or?
In terms of my work, or in terms of where I think the industry is going?
Well, both.
I'm going to say no. I think they're both equally important. I think in the long run, the PFAS is, lead is going to ultimately be, in the next 20 years, we're going to deal with it and it's going to go away.
Yeah.
But PFAS there's thousands of those compounds, and, you could see that EPA with their various regulations is looking at more and more of them and thinking about regulating additional ones and lower thresholds.
Right.
So I don't think PFAS is going away. I think it's going to get bigger.
Yeah.
And it definitely will still be going on 20, 30 years from now.
Now what seems to be the flavor of choice in mitigating PFAS now?
Well, there's 2 kind of really viable, maybe 3 technologies, none of which are super great.
Okay.
So the industry's still working on the magic solution. Right?
Okay.
But right now, GAC.
Yeah.
And the problem with GAC is the big physical footprint that you need for the vessels, even for small flow rates, and then the need to change them out frequently.
Yeah, and what do you do with the waste?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ion exchange is less footprint. But again, you have the waste disposal issue. And then the other thing you could do is reverse osmosis.
Okay.
But
expensive.
It's expensive, and you need somewhere to put all that flow. You need a sewer system.
Right.
So a lot of we work with a lot of very small utilities in rural areas, and there is no sewer system, so RO is not an option.
Right. Now, PFAS is obviously most wastewater plants are testing for PFAS now. And I think as a result of that, it gives you a good indication of what's in the system.
Yep, it's super concentrated, and the wastewater is going to be a big problem. The EPA is only now starting to look at regulating drinking water, and wastewater is still not regulated generally, but it's coming, and it's So again, the PFAS issue is going to continue to grow.
It's going to be the elephant in the room.
Yeah, very much so.
Whatever. How has in your tenure in the water industry, how has regulations changed?
Ooh, that's a good question. So generally, there is a trend to smarter utility operation, right? Mm-hmm. So just to give an example, on the metering side, the withdrawal side, historically utilities and drinking water utilities, they needed to put in enough metering, master meters, so they could operate their system. But they didn't really care, frankly, a whole lot about how efficient they were with using that water. And that's changing now as water loss control is starting to permeate regulations and permits, right? The IDSE, the whole disinfection byproduct thing.
Yeah.
Again, historically, once it left your plant, you were pretty good. You did some sampling in the distribution system.
Yeah.
And that was good enough. But, EPA recognizing that sampling really wasn't capturing what was going on with disinfection byproducts, forced utilities to do some modeling, do some more advanced analytics to kind of figure out where their highest concentrations would be, and change their sampling routines, and also change how they're operating in order when they do have an exceedance, right?
Right.
Where historically that was kind of left to the utilities. So, I think the regulatory bodies are getting more and more involved in trying to regulate operations.
And obviously all of the regulations and all of the testing and procedural things. That costs money, So basically, all of these utilities are struggling with complying with regulations, which is requiring more testing, or which is basically just add money and stir.
Yes, and they continue to have aging infrastructure, growing infrastructure, so they serve bigger and bigger territories.
Yeah,
and. The other thing, just like everybody else, like consultants, they have less and less staff. There's a retirement crisis in the drinking water industry.
Yep.
And again, what that is leading to is more kind of smart operations, I'll call it.
Well,
so using technology, using your existing staff, giving them the tools so they can operate things smarter.
Yes.
So things like digital twins are coming.
Yeah.
And
amazing.
Yes, which will be pretty cool, right?
So just dive a little deeper into digital twins for us here.
So a digital twin, again, most utilities have sensors, instrumentation control at their kind of boundary points of their system. At their treatment plants, at their storage tanks. They know what's going on in terms of flows and pressures. What they historically have not known is what's going on in the guts of their system.
Okay.
If you're customer X and you're on Elm Street, they likely don't have a sensor at your house to know how much you're using water at that instant and what your pressure is and where the flow is coming from, right? But you can team, what you can do is marry the power of GIS with hydraulic models, with the customer information system, with metering and with AMI.
Yes.
All into one system where it becomes a digital twin where you can actually see as a utility operator what is going on at the moment at any point in your system in terms of flow, pressure, water quality.
Yeah.
And it gives you a much again, more powerful way to operate your system, to plan for water main outages.
Sure.
Any number of contingencies. So.
Well, and also that helps in, again, aging infrastructure is a problem. I think throughout the industry and throughout the United States,
Yep.
as far as that goes. I mean, that's no big secret. And, unfortunately, it's only going to get worse.
Yep.
You've got, systems that have 100-year-old pipes, okay? And the sad part about it, water and sewers, unfortunately, like the stepchild, okay, it's out of sight, out of mind. So it's not like a bridge or a highway that you can see deteriorating or whatever. The only time you can see it deteriorating, water starts bubbling up in a road.
Yes.
And usually that happens. It's you can get into catastrophic damages as far as roads and whatever. But yeah, you get to a point where it's becoming a critical issue. And metering, in fact, one of my previous podcasts now was with Stiles Corporation, okay, and he basically we're going into the metering, how metering technology has changed throughout the years, and again, just to exacerbate, what you just said with the digital, twins, as far as that goes, you have more technology at your fingertips to be able to, diagnose things and to, plan things, but that always is a luxury a lot of times.
Yep.
So.
And it's a particular challenge for the small systems, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
my regional water authority is a large system in Connecticut, and they kind of have the resources and the staff where they can deal with this. But there's a lot of small systems, small municipalities
Portland.
that I don't think we've come up with the answer for how they deal with these challenges.
Well, and again, that's the thing, and all that bottom line is that ultimately comes down to affecting rates.
Yeah.
When you get into a situation, and unfortunately, when you're dealing with a municipality, okay, rates. And a municipal system, depending on the election cycle, can become very, very political. We're not going to raise the rates, even though we need to raise the rates. No, we're not going to raise the rates. So, you're kind of playing catch up all the time, and you get into a situation where, unfortunately, poor planning on our part doesn't constitute an emergency on your part.
Yep.
As far as that goes. So yeah, we go from there. So well, that's great. I think. A lot of the consulting engineers that are around and so forth, a lot of us, okay, have gone after retirement or changing careers into the consulting business because you've been in the business a long time. It's not your first rodeo, so to speak. So there's a lot of institutional knowledge there, that you can bring to the table in making small systems aware of stuff that's out there and, that don't have the resources to, like you say, deal with a lot of the situations. But yeah, it's funny. But yeah. On a personal side, what do you like to do for hobbies?
Oh boy. So, I love my history.
Yes, you do.
So I have a big personal library. My wife says probably too big.
Okay. All right.
But also, do some travel, look at some battlefields. And that's kind of my thing when I'm not being a water engineer.
Nice. Have you been down to, the battlefields down in Virginia and so forth?
No, I've been to Gettysburg, of course, which is fascinating, done some of the American Revolution, French and Indian War stuff.
Okay.
Some of the War of 1812 stuff up by Niagara Falls, which is interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, and plans to do more.
Well, that's great. It's amazing how, hobbies vary from, things as far as that goes, and it's a passion. I think, one of my passions obviously is, when I started the water and people class at, the high school is, exposing more students into this great career. I think there's career options in the water umbrella and the wastewater umbrella is so large. And, it's basically an occupation that you really can't outsource.
Yes.
You need boots on the ground. And it goes everything from soup to nuts to engineers to operators to construction to, HR to accounting, as far as that goes. And
the best thing about this career, I think, is, I go home at night, and we really have helped people.
Well,
in any role, the PFAS treatment, doing lead and copper, even operating a water system, being a treatment plant operator.
Absolutely.
And that is very rewarding.
Sure, sure. So if you were to give advice to a high school senior or a college, student, what would you say about the water industry?
Oh, it's a great career. And you'll never be bored.
No.
There's always, things are always changing.
Yep.
There's always new regulations, new challenges, new technology.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, right now is a great time to get involved.
Oh, absolutely.
Because of the retirement stuff that's going on, and because of the influx of new technology.
Sure.
And it's just it's a great career. I would encourage it for anybody.
Well, that's it. We call it the gray tsunami, or in my case, the bald tsunami. Go from there. Yes, exactly. So, as you know, I have a kind of an alter life in my music career and so forth. So, ask, what's your favorite type of music?
Oh, geez, I'm still a classic rock guy.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Favorite groups?
Oh, geez, Led Zeppelin. Do they have a bad song?
No. In fact,
it's amazing.
One of my drum teachers at the music store. In fact, John Peckman. He does a music podcast at our podcast studio. But he just formed a Zepco, which is basically a cross between Led Zeppelin and Bad Company.
There you go.
They just did a big concert up in Massachusetts on last Saturday, and they packed the house. It was 400 people and so forth. So, do you have any favorite albums?
I'm also a Beatles fan.
There you go.
So, favorite album. That's tough. I'm going to take a pass on that, Dave.
Okay, all right. All right, so you remember...
That's very hard.
Remember what your first concert was?
Yep, I went to a David Bowie concert in Hartford.
Yeah.
With my then girlfriend, now wife.
There we go. All right.
I was on his Glass Spider tour.
Nice. There you go. There's a flash from the past. So, all right. If you got stuck on a desert island, what food could you eat every day?
Whoa. Wait, so let's understand this. The desert island, there's food on the island?
Whatever, yeah.
I mean, or you bringing it with you,
You can bring it with you,
okay.
Whatever,
I'm still a classic steak guy. So
okay.
I'm bringing my frozen my cooler full of frozen steaks.
There you go, Omaha steaks, and ship it in
Yep.
the ice containers. All right, fantastic. All right, Steve, thanks so much for coming, taking part.
Thank you. It was fun,
and doing the podcast and so forth. And realistically, we got to start refilling this pipeline and get more people exposed and so forth. So, all right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this episode of the future of the water and wastewater industry and the careers you didn't know about. And in the house right now is Mr. Steve Rupar, from WSP. So, Steve, thank you so much for taking part.
Thanks, Dave.
And giving us a little insight into what your day job was and how you got into the industry. So, thanks so much.
Great. Thank you.